Hey, thanks for watching Numbskull News. And today I'm going to hit you with the power rankings. Now, I did a power rankings video about a month ago. That was using all the experts, tying in all the off-season moves and all that kind of stuff. This is more about my opinion, and I'm going to compare the results of my last video, putting in all of the results of the experts from multiple different media sites on quarterbacks, head coaches, on transfer portal ads, recruiting ads, scheduling, all of that. And this is going to be more based on what I think is accurate, including teams coming in with hype, teams that did great last year that are still fully loaded, locked and loaded, still have their quarterback and head coach combos that I love. So I'm going to adjust those power rankings to what, because I don't agree with the experts on everything. For example, they had Sawyer Robinson pretty far down on the quarterbacks list on the media site that I used. And I thought that was horse crap. I think that kid has got a lot of talent, and a lot of people, especially Big 12 media people, are really high on him. So I'm making my adjustments and basing my opinion on that. So I'm gonna show you right up front what the results were of that last power rankings. Then I'm going to give you the new power rankings, where I line up, where I'm going to start, because I'm going to do power ranking videos every week this football season for the Big 12. So we got to have a starting point, correct? This will be the starting point. Like I said, these were the results of the last video using all the experts. These are the 16 in this particular order. So now I'm going to give you my order. Number 1, they got Arizona State right. As Ric Flair once said, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And Arizona State is the man. Sam Leavitt, he's looking like he could be one of, if not the best quarterback in the league. Josh Hoover, Avery Johnson have a little bit to say about that. But he's coming in red hot. With a lot of expectations, but a lot of results as well. He had a pretty damn good playoff last year, the only Big 12 team to make the playoff. Kenny Dillingham. Kenny! I mean, he's been exactly as advertised coming into the Big 12. That's everyone said, hey, Kenny Dillingham is the next big-time head coach, and it's looking like that's accurate. Not to mention, they got a fully loaded roster, stacked, guys with experience. They're ready to rock and roll. Next up, I agree with the last list again, K-State. They're their number 2. They have to be. Kleiman, Avery Johnson, great duo. Now, Avery Johnson, to me, he was still making a few mistakes, even winning games, but not really, really showing out. The kid's got a lot of talent. And if Avery Johnson, because you would think, it's a progression every year with these quarterbacks. If he can top out this year, K-State, even with a tough schedule, even having to go to Ireland in week 1, this is a team that can do a lot of damage in the Big 12, get into the playoff, and even do some damage there. We'll see what happens with Avery Johnson, but he's got the tools. Can he put it together? And here comes my first big disagreement with all the experts and how all that lined up. They had Iowa State at 10. I have them at 3. That's a huge jump. Look, Rocco Becht, to me, looks every bit as good as an Avery Johnson or a Sam Leavitt. He has talent. Again, if he can max out who he is this next year, look the hell out for Iowa State. They're going to bring the defense. They have a ton of starters coming back. The big question mark is at receiver, right? All right, they don't have 2 big-time receivers anymore. At least, not that we know of. Now, I want you to think back years ago. Cam Newton, his best year in the NFL. Everyone, which he led the Panthers to the Super Bowl. Remember, His top receiver was knocked out for the year in the preseason. Nobody believed Cam Newton could do anything with that team after that. And he had his best statistical season ever. I'm not saying that's going to be Rocco Becht. All I'm saying is you never know. So they deserve the respect. They were in the conference title game last year. They're a favorite to get back. The number 3 spot, that's the proper result. That's the proper respect for Iowa State. Another big change here. I got Texas Tech at 4. The conglomerate of experts had them at number 9. Here's my thought, okay? Because I struggled with this. I wanted to move them down and put other teams ahead of them. They have spent so much damn money. They got incredible portal classes, incredible recruitment classes. Coach McGuire, I've heard good things. All right, he's got Texas Tech into a bowl game every year, but that's not enough for what Texas Tech is building and what the money they're spending. We know this. There's insane expectations on him, on Baron Morton, on the whole damn team. But they have the talent. If they can put it together, holy shit, Texas Tech can be a beast this year. So as far as power rankings, this is low as I can go with Texas Tech. With those expectations, that money, that talent. Look, Texas Tech is going to be one of the big stories of the Big 12. Whether they succeed or they fall on their face, it's going to be a monster story. Now, Kansas, the experts love Kansas. Boy, they had him number 3. I dropped him down to number 5. I think that's more realistic. However, I think Coach Leipold is great. I think he's a fantastic coach. He has turned that program around. Jalen Daniels, I don't know why he sucked early on in the year. From what I understand, they went with a new offensive system, new offensive coordinator, and he struggled like hell. Maybe and look, we know coaches, schemes can screw up players. Maybe that screwed him up. They got back on track, and they were beating teams left and right. Now, their schedule this year, it's the easiest schedule in the Big 12, period. End of story. That's why I still have them up this high. They can do some work with that schedule. And if Jalen Daniels stays healthy and he's back to being top form like we expected him to be last year, then, look, they got a very high ceiling there with the Jayhawks. Number 5, and I think that's appropriate. I moved Baylor down just one. Dave Aranda has shown signs of life, won 8 games last year. And it wasn't looking like they were going to win 8, but they finished strong as hell. I mean, their defense is decent. Offensive line, really good. What I talked about before was Sawyer Robinson. He looks like a badass. This dude can end up being... There's tons of quarterbacks in this league. He's one of them that looks like he could absolutely be the best guy of all of them. Possibly. But I moved him down definitely from Kansas. The reason I moved him down, their running back, Pendergrass, is out for the year. Their top running back, he was going to be the new superstar white quarterback of the Big 12. Hell no, not this year. So, they're still in it. I still think a hell of a lot of Baylor. As a matter of fact, they're my pick to win the Big 12 this year. But as far as power rankings go, I got to keep it fair. Next up at number 7 is TCU. There's some people that don't believe in Sonny Dykes. I don't get it. Show me another Big 12 team that has played for a national title in the playoff era. Yeah, that's right. They're the only one. And that was under Sonny Dykes. I understand that wasn't his team. He didn't put it together, but he led them there. He's the guy who found Josh Hoover. All right, Josh Hoover, another one of the top quarterbacks in the league. The problem with TCU, I want to put them higher. All right, I definitely wanted to put them at 4 or 5. Here's the problem. That schedule, especially early on in the season, the first 5-6 games, road schedule-wise, is a beast. A total bitch. So, look, they need to get through that with maybe one loss, and that is going to be incredibly, incredibly hard. Some balls are going to have to bounce their way. Period. That's the truth of it. But TCU is a damn good team. Hopefully, all right, they bring it. They bring it early. And BYU, they had to be moved out of the 4 spot to the 8 spot. Look, Jake Ratzloff thing sucks and sucks nuts, but there's still great opportunity there. They got some prospects at quarterback that look really talented and look like they can do something. You talk about spending money like Texas Tech. BYU has also spent a crap ton of money in the portal in recruiting. They have a team. They got a defense. They got offensive line. They got all that. They got all of that. Satake, I don't know if he's undervalued anymore. I think he proved himself last year, but one of the best coaches in the league. So if they could find a competent quarterback who can make some plays, all right, he doesn't have to be the playmaker. Not in this, not with this team. But if he can keep them out of trouble, don't turn the ball over a ton. Don't eat a lot of freaking sacks. All right? Like Sanders did last year. If he can just play reasonably good football, BYU has a chance to get into that conference title game. They still have a shot. On the previous list, Colorado was 7. I drop them 2 spots to 9. Now look, I'm a Coach Prime fan. He's done wonders with Colorado. Whether you love him or hate him, look, I don't care. He's done a fantastic job there. The experts are really high on Mr. Kalen Salter, the new quarterback coming in. Looks like he has a lot of talent, a lot of tools. We'll see if he can put it together. Colorado's defense. Boy, that's where they made their big strides last year, was that defense. They get to the quarterback. They sack the quarterback. Tackles for loss. They make plays. All right. And they're going to be a badass unit again. So I'm sorry, if you got defense, you can travel. There's things you can do. Now, running the ball, I don't know, outside of the quarterback running it, I don't know if they can run the ball that much. That would help a ton. We'll see what they can do. I don't know. Now, the offensive line's better, but it takes a while to really get an elite offensive line. That's something that has to be built, and it usually takes a few seasons. So let's see where they are with that offensive line. And if you want to talk about experts loving a quarterback, all right, Devin Dampier, the national people love him to death. They just do. Now overall with everything that I added together, the last list, Utah ended up at number 8. I put them at number 10 here. This is more than likely Coach Whittingham's last year. That's the rumor going around. Will the team play for him out the ass? Is he that beloved there? Or are they just going to do what they do? Utah's got weapons. They got returning starters. They got returning starters from a team that kind of sucked last year. Let's just be honest. All right, let's be honest. So right now, having Utah at number 10, I was wanting to put them a little further down. I just was, but I don't want to be seen as some big old hater. So they're still in the top 10. I'm trying to be fair. Whittingham is a great coach. We'll see what he can put together. Here's another big difference I am with the experts. I got the Bearcats at 11. They had them at 15. I have them just outside the top 10. I'm expecting the Bearcats to be I think they could be a surprise team. I don't think they can make the conference title game. But can they get in there and win 7 or 8 games this year? Yes, they can. Yes, they can. That is if. Because, look, no, everyone's crapping on Scott Satterfield. I don't think he's that bad of a coach. I think he's actually a pretty good recruiter. But, we're going to find out. Brandon Sorsby, I think he's a little better quarterback than people think. I do like... I like the continuity. I love continuity like that when you can bring back quarterbacks. Now, that's not going to stop me from having questions. All right. Sorsby's got talent. He's got talent. The Bearcats themselves, I think they're going to be a little more talented of a team than people think, and a better coach team that people think. Therefore, I think it's going to be a better team than people think. I can't put them any higher than 11. That's the best I can give them, but I wanted to make sure to give the Bearcats the best. They're getting to a bowl game this year. They flirted with it last year. They're getting there this year. The Houston Cougars, I got them at 12. Now, there's a lot of national people that and a lot of writers out there love Willie Fritz. They think a lot of Willie Fritz. He's got a great reputation. Connor Wegman was a highly recruited quarterback. Kind of, got banged up, hurt, couldn't really do anything there in Texas A&M. Houston has him. We'll see what they can get out of this kid who seems to have some talent coming out of high school. Not to mention, all right, they have a pretty badass tight end in Tanner Koziel. I don't know how to pronounce the damn. I'm horrible pronouncing names. That's why I try not to do it unless it's like Smith or something stupidly easy. But I love it if you have a quarterback that has some skills and you give him a really good tight end. That is football 101. That's offense 101. That is a quarterback's best friend, is a fantastic tight end. So, we'll see what that amounts to with Houston, but look out. There's times they win games they're not supposed to win. So, could they end up way higher than this in the power rankings? Absolutely. But as a starting point, this is what they deserve. At 13, and no, it's not disrespectful to have West Virginia this low at 13. The experts, the conglomerate of experts I used in the last video, that list, they had them at 11. I dropped them down a couple of spots. Look, Rich Rod's doing a whole rebuild there. All right, I'm not an expert on West Virginia football. I have a lot of subscribers that are. You may not like this, but this is kind of where they have earned their place here. I don't have them all the way at the bottom. I'm actually a Rich Rod believer. But I have to, in my own head, have to justify. You might say, well, look, they should be over Houston or definitely over Cincinnati. Look, Cincinnati has got that continuity between quarterback and head coach that I like. So I value that more. West Virginia, it's more of a complete rebuild. Houston's rebuilding, but it appears they're going to start at least with a more highly thought of quarterback. So, it's ebbs and flows here. All right. It's a matter of taste. Look, I think Rich Rod is going to, in West Virginia, they're going to be a problem in the Big 12 coming up the next season or two. This first initial season, it's about him getting his feet wet over there again and building this thing in his image the way he wants it. And I think he's going to be successful. I don't know how successful he's going to be in year one, but there's a shot. This is just a starting spot, by the way. Win some games, beat Pitt, backyard brawl. West Virginia will get up into the top 10. As of right now, there's one reason I am starting off Arizona in the 14th spot. That's the same spot of the last video, the last power rankings list. There's only one reason I'm going to start off legitimately the season with them there. And that's because of Noah Fifita. How good of a quarterback is he? He's pretty well thought of. But we haven't, we saw some of that last year. Not as much this year. I'm just going to give him this because the last bottom two teams are complete freaking rebuilds. Quarterbacks we have no real idea of. Noah Fifita at least is somewhat of a known commodity here. Brent Brennan, look, everyone's like, oh, he's dog crap. From the time he got hired, oh, what a crappy hire. Kind of like Satterfield. So I'm questioning that because Brent Brennan has had success, albeit at a lower level. Was it San Jose State? Or I think it's San Jose State. Okay. But he's had success bringing a team that was just mired in crap to some prominence. It's going to be harder to do that in the Big 12 with more teams spending more money and more resources, meaning more talent from your opponents. So it's going to be tougher for Arizona. But right now, that's why I have them at 14 is Fafita. Oklahoma State, I didn't put them at the bottom because I respect Gundy too much to put them at the bottom. Even though that's exactly where they finished last year. They won 0 conference games last year. An absolute nightmare season for Coach Gundy after a great season before that. Insanity. You're talking about going from worst to first. That was from, second in the league to crap all the way at the bottom. So I can't put Oklahoma State any higher than this. And of course, the big worry, because the things that happened last year, the buyout is less for Gundy and all that kind of shit. You know, it's not just about the hot seat. It's about, do people, leadership in Oklahoma State, do they believe in Gundy anymore? Has he worn out his welcome? Are they tired of his shenanigans? All right, because you'll put up with whatever as long as you're winning, as long as you're a good, respectable program. But you have a year like last year, and people already have a problem with your personality, or maybe there's some clashes behind the scenes. Now they want to get the hell rid of you. And now you gave them an excuse by having one of the worst freaking seasons in Oklahoma State history. So, but I'm not going to put them at the bottom because I respect Gundy. Whatever they do, whoever they got, we're going to find out. But this thing is a complete rebuild because it was a complete disaster. And I absolutely hate putting the Knights at the bottom, UCF. That is where the experts had them as well. I have to agree. Now, Scott Frost is back. He's eaten a lot of shit from what happened with Nebraska. Some of the things that he said about his time in Nebraska. He's eaten a lot of crap for that. Okay. We've seen this guy take the Knights from obscurity to the top of the G5 world. Now they're in the Big 12. Now they're in the Power 4. Can he rise them up? We'll see. Look, it seems like he took a job in Nebraska he didn't want. Scott Frost. Not really. He took it because it's almost like you have to. It's almost, that's his alma mater. He won a national title there as a quarterback. So he's getting all this pressure to go home, quote unquote, go home and save Nebraska football. When in actuality, him and his wife, they were home in Orlando. They felt like they were home. Now they're back home. Can he do it again? Can he do it again? That's the question. You're not going to see it this year. But can we get some flashes of UCF? Can they? Because they're going to be an underdog in every damn game. Every conference game, they're an underdog in. Or it's a 50-50 shot. They're at the bottom. Every game they win is going to defy expectations. So that's where they are. And, I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for UCF because I was excited to see them come in. And I followed that story when they went undefeated. 2 years in a row they were undefeated, by the way. Everyone seems to forget that shit. But undefeated 2 years in a row. I think the second year they lost their bowl game or whatever. But 2 undefeated seasons in a row. Regular seasons. Kiss my ass. That's 24-0 in regular seasons. Not even including bowl games. So, will they get back to that? Probably not. Not in the Big 12. But can they... Look, are they going to go get to a bowl game? They're not. They're not. Not this year. Not this year. Probably not next year either. But can they win more than 2 or 3? That'll be the question. The over-under is 2.5. Well, that's it. That's my starting power rankings. Like I said, I'm going to do power rankings every week. I'm also going to do something else. I'm going to do my point system is coming back. That video is coming out. I've restructured my point system. I'm going to break that shit down. And I'm going to give you the Power 4 point system results every single week. So all 10 of you can watch that shit. Anyway, I'm sure about 10-20 y'all going to watch my power rankings every week too. So, anyway, thanks for watching this crap, and I'll be back with some more crap later. Bye.